Hello, welcome to another reading vlog. So I've started my next Ray Bradbury. I read Something Wicked This Way Comes in October last month and loved it, and I want to check out more of his work. So I checked out The Halloween Tree next because it seemed topical. This is a short story. It follows a group of 6 kids who are ready to go trick-or-treating, and their ringleader, the leader of the group, something weird's going on with him. So they end up going trick-or-treating without him, and they go to a house, and it's this like ominous, gothic, spooky mansion with this massive tree out front, jack-o'-lanterns hanging down from it, and the man from the manor approaches them and says, "I can help you with your friend." And what he does, it's kind of like, it's Christmas Carol-y in that he takes them into the Halloweens of Halloween past. I don't know. Except the point of taking them into the past is to show them the history of Halloween in different cultures, in different timelines, how it began, and how it morphed into what it is today. Ooh, that sun. It's aggressive. So it's fictional. It's following this group of kids going back in time and going to different parts of the world, but it's also educational. It's them learning about the beginnings in different cultures and regions and time. But it's also their story and their learning about life and death and sacrifice and loyalty. It's characters who are rushing through life and not taking a second to breathe. Also characters that are afraid of death, and it's these characters learning and growing. It's them learning about the history of this holiday that they just celebrated in the way that they're accustomed to, but learning about where it came from, as well as learning their own lessons as well. So it is fiction. It's wholesome. It's sweet. Ray Bradbury writes with he writes so poetically. His prose is beautiful, and I really think that his writing is what makes his stories sometimes. It's what made this story for sure. Something Wicked This Way Comes was an awesome story on its own, and then Bradbury's prose elevated it. And for this story, I think that it was fine, and Bradbury is kind of what gave it that charm. So I don't have a lot to say about this, partially because it's so short, and partially because it was fine. I don't have strong feelings about it. I could tell you what it's about and what it did, but I can't give a lot of opinions beyond that because, you know, I read the book. It is meant for a younger audience, and I think for the purposes of providing that little bit of spook, that little bit of creep, but also providing education and information and lessons, I think it's kind of perfect. I'm just 30 or 31. I always forget. So I'm not quite in the right age bracket for it, so I appreciated it for what it was without it really having that strong impact on me. But I'm excited to read more Bradbury. I have another one of his books planned for January, and I'm excited to just keep digging into his writing, because even if I don't connect with the story, I connect with his writing. I've also picked up Bookshops and Bonedust. This one is also digitally. This is a digital week. And I'm not loving it. So Legends of okay, well, first of all, cozy fantasy is not my subgenre. I've tried a few and I've liked some, I haven't liked others. Legends and Lattes is the only one that I've been like, wow, this actually has that secret sauce to make me like something that I don't typically like. Bookshops and Bonedust is a prequel to Legends and Lattes, so it takes the same main character, Viv, but we're seeing her earlier in life. In this book, she is with a group of mercenaries and they have a job, and then Viv gets injured in a kerfuffle with a necromancer. So she gets left behind from her group to recover in this very quiet, slow town, and ends up getting involved with helping with a bookshop that is on the brink of not being able to continue on. It's not appreciated enough in town, so she's trying to help bring it back to life. I think this book has just as much charm as the first book. It's written just as well, and it has that same cozy vibe to it, but I think the thing that's making it not work is the fact that it's a prequel, which is unfair because all prequels have the issue of, okay, well, we already know where the characters are going, so it seems like the stakes are low. But this, I think my problem is that this is already a low stakes story. Like, these books are supposed to be low stakes. It's supposed to be cozy, feel good, slice of life kind of feeling. So it already has built-in low stakes. But in book one, we're watching Viv create a new life for herself. We're watching her build something brand new, branch out into something new that is going to be her homestead, that's going to be her new life. And in this book, we know it's a blip in time. We know that there's an end date. We know what her future is, which means that I'm just less invested in the characters, in the setting, and in the potential romance that's to come. Not that that's begun yet at the point that I'm at, which I'm 10 chapters in at this point, but I know that it's also just going to be a blip on the map, and there's nothing wrong with showing a romance that isn't going to be forever in a book, but I don't know. It feels like I'm not watching her build her life, I'm watching a moment in time, so I feel less inclined to get invested in anything that's happening. That said, the cozy vibes are still very much there. Watching Fern give specialized, specific book recommendations to Viv to help Viv fall in love with reading for the first time is really nice. Watching somebody fall in love with something that I already love and I already have so much value for is very nice. And then the satisfaction of giving a personalized book recommendation that works. I know that feeling and can very much relate to it. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I've been talking for a while and that train would like to speak now. Plus the sun is aggressive. Welcome to the vlog. Hi, so I finished Legends and Lattes and it's called Bookshops and Bonedust, whatever it's called. And I'm so glad to report to you that my experience got better as I went on. In the beginning, I was really not feeling it. I was like, oh no, it's doing the same charm, but just in a different setting with different characters and I care less. I was like, oh no, the secret sauce is gone. I enjoyed this. Not as much as Legends and Lattes, but it wasn't a dud. So I was able to get attached to some of the characters. Specifically, one character totally won me over. His name is Satchel. And you just wouldn't expect, but oh my goodness, love. But there were also animal companions and I ended up liking the characters a lot. I still wasn't able to invest in them on the level as I did for Legends and Lattes because, again, because of the nature of what this prequel of what a prequel is, but I still was able to enjoy it and was able to get invested in the characters. It's funny, this book had a lot more plot than Legends and Lattes did. Legends and Lattes was more slice of life with some plot, but the plot didn't really affect my enjoyment on the book at all, which is odd for me. Whereas with Bookshops and Bonedust, I think that the plot was a lot stronger. It was a lot more intriguing. It was it ran a greater focus, and I was way more invested in what was happening beyond the cozy life. So it kind of flipped on me in that way, where what was going on in the story outside of the characters was actually I was more invested in that than the characters, which is probably a negative thing because people are probably reading these books for that same cozy, character-led slice of life feel, which this book has. It just wasn't nearly as strong, and the plot was stronger. But are people reading this book for the plot? That's the question. Still good character moments, though. This book did a good job of kind of honing in on basically the thing that I had a problem with, which is putting value in moments of life, talking about things like, or rather showcasing things like, it's never too late to decide what you want in life. You're never beyond the point of being able to pivot and figure out what path is right for you, as well as if you know what path is right for you and you decide this is not it, what I'm currently in is not what I'll be pursuing forever, and you do decide to close that door or walk away from that thing, that doesn't invalidate that moment in life. That doesn't invalidate what you received and what you put into this period of life, which, if you'll remember at the beginning of the vlog, I was like, what do I care? This is just a moment in her life. It's not forever. And the book's like, but that still matters. And yeah, no, this actually, you're right. You're right. I can look back at many moments in my life where it's like, that wasn't forever, but it shaped me and it was a valuable piece of my life. And I will forever be grateful that I had that. And that's what this book was. So I did end up enjoying this. I would give, so Legends and Lattes, I wasn't like a fangirl, but I really enjoyed that book. I think I gave it, or would have given it, if I rate something or not is very inconsistent, it's around a 4-star for me. And then Bookshops and Bonedust would be more like a 3. So I had a good time with it. I'm glad I read it. It's not one for the books, but it was a good read. I've seen several people give Legends and Lattes 5 stars and then give Bookshops and Bonedust 4 stars. I've also seen people give Bookshops and Bonedust 5 stars and love it just as much. But it does seem like, at least for the people who are reading it early, or as soon as it's released, quite a few people are saying still enjoyable, still has the cozy vibes, still a great read, step down from Legends and Lattes. Not everyone, but that is a common sentiment that I'm seeing here on new release. So I would say if you loved Legends and Lattes, pick up Bookshops and Bonedust. It's well worth the read. It's very short. It's Travis Brulé is a very good writer, and it's worth seeing a moment in Viv's life. But if you were not over the moon about Legends and Lattes, if you weren't convinced about it, and if you're kind of debating, do I really want to invest my time and money in another book? Will I like it as much? I would say probably just, pass. Read whatever else is on your TBR. Not that my opinion on your TBR matters at all, but if you came to this video wondering, should I read it? I'm really on the fence. Maybe this will help you. But if you enjoyed Legends and Lattes, you'll likely enjoy Bookshops and Bonedust as well. I enjoyed it. I'm just not like crazy about it. It's funny, I feel a little bit guilty because both of the books in this particular vlog, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I read it. Good times, moving on. But I've had so many books lately. Like, I feel like so many of my reading vlogs lately have just been me gushing about amazing stories. So I guess it's about time I have a not gush, but I wanted to love them. Next week, I'm going to be reading, next week is going to be my Discworld and Dresden week. I don't know how this happened or why this happened, but somehow over the last several months, I've been pairing these two. When I continue on with these series, I just do them together. And next week, it's going to be Discworld and Dresden week. So next week's vlog, it's 2 series that I like, but it's also, I'm going to be reading book 6, which I can't remember the name of, in Dresden, and Pyramids in Discworld. And these are 2 books that I've been told are not the most loved in the fandom. So it's 2 series that I've come to trust, but I'm nervous about them. So we'll see. No manga update this week. I have been reading manga. I have been reading both Dragon Ball Z and Promised Neverland. I have opinions about both, but there will be no manga update in this particular video, and I will explain why in tomorrow's video. So this week I read The Halloween Tree and Bookshops and Bonedust. I hope you enjoyed what you read this week. I'll see you again soon. Bye.